Alright everybody, how's it going? This is HD Starcraft and I'm here to bring you guys a best of 3 set from the Starcraft 2 community where I do a lot of my replay downloading from, and this was voted pretty highly on the website, so without further ado, allow me to go ahead and introduce the players. Down in the bottom left hand corner we have got FXO.asd. He is going to be the red Protoss, also otherwise known by his former handle Nuclear, and that's actually a pretty cool name. If I could go back and change my name, if I could tell my mom I'd want to be Nuclear, that would be the name of choice, man. I could be Nuclear Starcraft right now, not HD Starcraft. I'm just kidding with you guys. I like my name. It's my actual real name, for those of you guys who follow me on Facebook and Twitter, is actually Alex. This is a good chance for you guys to go ahead and follow me on Facebook and Twitter. You know, shameless little self-plug right there. But it is going to be ASD, aka Nuclear, versus Team SCV Life's Polt here. So it will be a Protoss versus Terran. Last time I casted Polt playing was, believe, in the Gigabyte Invitational, where he lost to Nerchio in the semifinals. So we'll see here if he can recover a little bit of face, you know. Traditionally, I feel like whenever I cast Polt, he doesn't really win on my YouTube cast. So I feel kind of bad because I don't want to portray people in a bad light. Thankfully, I haven't gotten any complaints from him yet. It's a good thing, I guess, that they're both Korean, because I know that when you come from Korea and you're South Korean, you play StarCraft 2 your whole life. A lot of them don't actually know how to speak English all that well. So it's good, I guess, that there's a little bit of a language barrier. Haven't heard any hate mail from Polt yet, but cross my fingers that doesn't happen. And we will see what happens here, man. Cross spawn on Talrim Altar, old map. It's probably worth noting that this is about a few weeks, I think maybe up to 3 weeks old. So the replay is a little bit old, but what really caught my eye was it was still highly rated despite being somewhat outdated. So should be a pretty good set here, best of 3, and all signs pointing here to a not super greedy opening like a CC first, but it is pretty economical, pretty slightly greedy, because we can see it's a gasless fast expand here, and the way you can kind of tell that is obviously there's no refinery up inside the main base right now. But on top of that, you can also see, just by noting that there are 2 supply depots and a barracks at the front, and whenever you see that second supply depot that early on, that means that the Terran probably didn't cut SCVs to make a refinery. So that's in itself, I guess what I'm trying to say is that probe didn't have to die inside the base, but it did anyways, just to make sure. So the purple metal goes to that probe, and now we do have, of course, that CC first coming up outside the main base. Back at home, ooh, a Corona boosted Stalker. So I guess we're going to have an aggressive opening from ASD, who has grabbed 1 gas as well. So what he's done here is he's opened up with a build that isn't as economical as the Terran player, because obviously his Nexus hasn't come down yet, but it will. It's going to be a little bit later. But he's going to balance that out and offset it by having more of a tech on his side. He's going to have Warp Gate finished, obviously, pretty soon here. And on top of that, he's probably going to try to be aggressive at the front door with the Zealot and Stalker. That's why he Chrono boosted it. Now that Zealot is like, doesn't matter how hard he yells or screams, "For Aya!" It doesn't matter. He's not getting past those 4 Marines. So he will be turned away. Now the Stalker is going to come in. And maybe now with the backup of the Stalker, they might try to push these Marines at least back to the bunker to gain a little bit of ground. Anything helps in StarCraft 2. Back in the natural, meanwhile, we do have a Nexus. And that's what I thought was going to happen. Is there a second gas? There is. And now ASC's got a couple of possibilities. He could go 1 gate robo. Usually you want to get the second gas up for 1 gate robo. You can also go 3 gates and get a bunch of sentries out and then get the robo. And if he wants, he could try to punish the Terran. There's really few all-ins, I think, that Protoss have at this early stage of the game, but one of the all-ins that Protoss can use is a 6-gate, actually. Doesn't work too well against Zerg, but it works very well against Terrans, and the key to that is using a bunch of sentries. So we'll see if he decides to hit the front door or not. There is a second bunker coming up, so it's going to be tough, but we will see. Nexus is about to finish up, and only 3 gates right now. So it is 3 gates, and we'll see if he decides to drop a robotics facility or not. Or, uh-oh, we do have a probe going up here, and it's possible he's looking to make a proxy pylon somewhere on the edge of the map here. Let's see if he does it. There is more gateways warping out on the production tab, so it looks like ASD here is going to go with at least 5 gates. Or is that even more? 1, 2, 3, 4... 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we've got 6 gates total here, and it looks like ASD is going to go for that all-in that I mentioned before. So it is the reason why I thought this was going to happen is because a lot of times, especially on this map where it's somewhat wide open, a 6 gate can be pretty effective against Terran. And the reason for that is because the One Rack's gaseous expand doesn't let you tech up very quickly. You can see the stim pack is just only halfway done. So what you want to do at the 6 gate, it hits before 9 minutes, and you want to try to get in there before stim pack finishes. However, Polt's already got 2 bunkers up, and against 2 bunkers, it can be pretty hard, I think, to break through. It's all going to come down to the sentries. The key here is these sentries in this all-in. You have to force field the bunkers, and you have to cut off the Marines and Marauders so that your Zealots can wail away at the frontal units that are cut off. So, oh, there's a 3rd bunker coming up though, so now it's looking increasingly unlikely that this is going to be effective, but the Warpins have begun. This is the all-in, and it's an all-in because ASD is going to have a very hard time transitioning out of this. You know, he has no tech, he has no Robo Bay, he has no Twilight Council, it's just pure gateways 9 minutes in. So here we go, man, he's already, you know, the initial wave, this is when you want to be most effective, and he is going to be able to cut off a bunch of SCVs on the outside. They were just too far on the out, and he's going to get a couple of SCV kills right there, which is going to be very helpful, but he can't bust through the bunkers, and actually losing 2 sentries in that attempt. So that was actually pretty, it was a pretty decent trade, I think, all things considered, you know, losing about 5 or 6 SCVs for 2 bunkers and whatnot. But you know, the problem here is that, I mentioned this before, the initial wave of the all-in, that's when it's going to be most effective. You're hoping to catch your opponent by surprise, and the longer this takes, I think the harder it gets for Protoss to break through, because now Polt has finished up Stimpack, obviously, and he's going to have +1 weapons finished up long before ASD even gets his +1. In fact, I don't even think ASD is going to get a Forge, so ASD here could be in a lot of trouble, man. He has not revealed any new tech options. In fact, the Terran now feeling so confident that he is going to push out, and Protoss needs to be very concerned here, but he's still got a lot of sentries, so this is going to be key. One of the bunkers actually getting salvaged, and perhaps Polt feeling confident enough to the point where he doesn't need that 3rd bunker and would rather have the 75 minerals. That's definitely pinching for every penny right there. And here we go, ASD going in, knows he's got to do something, cannot just hang out at the front door forever, but Polt is going to stim up, and he's gonna go for the attack. Force field's coming up! Really good force fields from ASD, but the medevacs are out, and the lifeboats have saved the women and children in the front. And that is exactly what you need to do against mass sentries. You just bring out the medevacs and save your forces once again. Very good saves by Polt. And I guess he gets the women and children out of the frigid waters of the Atlantic. Very nice job. And, you know, just building up a little bit more on what I was mentioning, against the mass sentries like this, against this type of 6 gate all-in, you need to have medevacs. And once the medevacs come out, they really do mitigate sentries, because force fields are all about cutting your forces apart, but medevacs can lift them out of harm's way. And here we go again, expect Polt to save his forces. He's actually taking quite a bit of firepower from all these sentries, and Polt, there we go, retreating at the last second. Actually, that last fight went pretty well for ASD. I think Polt might have hung out for a bit too long, and ASD is now going to retreat to the top right, where he will find a proxy pylon he can take down, and ASD looks like he wants to go save that pylon, and he's going to go for it, but his forces aren't in the best position, losing 3 or so stalkers right there. And needs to be very careful here, has more units warping in through that pylon on the left-hand side, and Polt now going around the 3rd is actually going to be able to take out the pylon probably if he stims, and he's going to fall back. More medevacs coming in, and half the Protoss army, the new wave of reinforcements, not with the main army, and ASD is going to take out another chunk of Protoss units, and that does not bode well for a player who's going for this all-in, man. He needs to end it now rather than later, and it certainly looks like Polt is going to be able to do a lot of damage here. He's going to be able to kill off the entire Protoss army. No! Zealot reinforcements coming in from another pylon, so ASD has not given up yet. But it is getting quite bleak, man. The Marauders all have +1. The Sentries, Zealots, and Stalkers don't really have those upgrades going for them. They have none. and this is looking pretty bad now. There's so many medevacs in the air that these Marauders they are almost invulnerable. They're immortal, if you will. And GG calls ASD, who realizes that he just can't pull off this all-in against Polt, who is, you know, first off, had 3 bunkers at the front door. Second off, held off the initial wave. And as time went on, it just became so difficult. And so ASD deciding to call it quits here, but it is a best of 3, so we will see what happens in Game 2. Hope you guys enjoyed this cast. I'll see you guys there. And this is Nuclear Starcraft, signing out.